What is going on, people? Today we're going to take a look at one of the newer heroes that just recently released, and that is Donna. Now, she is an infantry hero, but she has a lot more under the hood. So we're going to go ahead and take a look and see what all she brings to the table. So let's see. Enforcer, when leading a march or garrison, troop defense plus 5%. Heavy duty guard, guard infantry damage received minus 2%. And strength guard. So right off the bat, one of the things that I look at when I look at guards is what other guard would they pair up well with. So let's take a look at the skills. Targeted strike. Your troops have a 60% chance of removing any negative effects on your own troops and dealing extra damage to enemy troops each round. If your troops are under a blessing effect, the skill damage dealt is increased by 7%. Now that is the biggest thing there. Under a blessing effect. So usually what I like to do is I go out and see like what heroes are already available, what heroes will give that specific effect, because usually that means that they pair well together. So something to keep in mind, blessing effect. What else do we have? Elite training increases guard troop damage by 11%. We all know that damage is king. Blind vigilante. When the number of troops remaining is higher than 30%, the damage dealt by your own troops is increased by 11%, and the damage received by your own troops is reduced by 5.5%. Interesting. So as long as your troops are higher than 30%, you get all of those buffs. So that's something that should be fairly active for most of the time. So that's not bad at all. Let's see what else. Unyielding soul reduces guard infantry damage received by 11%. All right. And then heavy duty 2 grants your infantry the block effect, blocking 20% damage received, increasing survivability, supporting and protecting other units to decrease the probability of death of cavalry and distance troops. Greatly increases your troop power when you have surviving infantry troops on the battlefield. So again, very infantry heavy, but the thing that's really interesting here is it says supporting and protecting other units to decrease the probability of death of cavalry and distance troops. So it makes it sound like she would actually be fairly good for defense as well. Now, what other units have a blessing effect that can actually pair well with her? Well, one of the ones that I know that are already released is Aramis. So if you take a look at this, you'll see that it basically gives the same thing. Your troops have a 60% chance of removing any negative effects. If your troops are under a blessing effect, the skill damage dealt is increased by 10%. So all of this, that sounds pretty much like the same thing, but we gotta find something that will give a blessing effect. Now you might be asking, well, okay, but what actually gives a blessing effect? Well, funny enough, actually one of the newer heroes, Bella, she actually, if you go over to Deadly Lure, it says gives your own troops a blessing effect. So she's the one that would actually give a blessing effect. So she is actually very, very good. Not only to go with Donna, but also somebody like a Aramis. So something to keep in mind there. Now, do they have to be together all the time? They don't have to be, but when you take advantage of things like this, and you know, if she does something under a blessing effect, you want to make sure that you do your best to try and actually have something that can cause that effect to get that extra boost. But all in all, I feel like we have a pretty decent array of infantry heroes now. And these pairs seems like it's going to be really, really interesting, especially with the heavy duty. Now it says heavy duty 2, and if you take a look at Aramis, that one is just heavy duty, which is really interesting. Now it says here, grants your infantry the block effect, blocking 20% damage received and increasing survivability and coordination with other units when both attacking and defending. So if you take a look at the wording is actually a little different. So let me go over to her. So heavy duty 2, right here it says where it says supporting and protecting other units to decrease the probability of death. What this is pretty much what I'm gathering from this is that this effect is actually going to help your infantry take away damage from the other troops whether they will otherwise receive. So it would kind of like lock your damage more into the infantry instead of your backline. So with something like this, you may want to go like heavy infantry in the front. That way you can actually keep your cav and your range alive longer. But Donna's really interesting. It's a hero that I'm sure that a lot of people are going to try and get. And as a matter of fact, they have this new enlist chances raised, which it's like this new currency. So I don't know if it's quote unquote worth it. But when you take a look at the chances, tier S guards 80%, tier A guard only 20%, and no chance at blues. That's actually not bad. Now the only downside is that you get fragments here. So that's when you're like, oh, that's the catch. You get fragments. So that 80% is not heroes specifically, it's a lot of fragments too. So I don't know. Let me know what you guys think about this new currency. It says limited, so it might go away soon. But yeah, if you let me know if you're taking advantage of that, and also what do you think of this new hero. But yeah, appreciate you guys for coming through, and until later, bye.